Vikings, let's win this game.
Attention Vikings fan, get ready for an explosion of updates in the Minnesota Vikings universe. The national media has already decreed the fate of the next opponent, but can you really trust it when unanimous predictions often turn into traps? A wide receiver who was questionable is now cleared and set to test our secondary under the primetime lights. On the other side, a star in the most important position in football might be sidelined, completely changing the outlook for the following game. And while a rookie leading our franchise is already silencing longtime critics, the team itself is preparing thrilling surprises for today. All of this while the shadow of a former quarterback might cross our path again in a spine-chilling scenario. You won't want to miss these updates. Welcome. Show your Vikings pride with a like and a comment. They say numbers don't lie, but can cold stats really measure the soul of a team? That's exactly what ESPN tried to do when predicting the showdown between the Vikings and the Falcons. Almost provocatively, analysts were unanimous. In their eyes, Atlanta has no chance. Pamela Maldonado, Eric Moody, and Seth Walder all picked Minnesota, each predicting close scores, but always with the Vikings on top. And as if that weren't enough, ESPN's own FPI metric gave the Vikings a 64.3% chance of winning. Sounds solid, right? But when the media tries to write the script, that's when fans know the drama is about to unfold. What intrigued many was the cold assessment of the Falcons. Atlanta is coming off a painful loss to the Buccaneers, a game where they gained more yards, had more possession, but stumbled on third downs and special teams mistakes. Now, they head into Minneapolis under pressure, and it's precisely on nights like these that upsets lurk in the NFL. After all, Michael Penix Jr. showed flashes in his debut, and some believe he could shine even brighter on national television. ESPN noted that the last Falcons quarterback to open a season with 2 straight games over 250 passing yards was Matt Ryan back in 2020. Coincidence or foreshadowing? Meanwhile, Minnesota's edge comes not only from the young talent of McCarthy and the resilience shown in the comeback win over the Bears, but also from Atlanta's glaring weakness in kick coverage. Seth Walder even predicted that rookie Miles Price, bursting with energy, could take a punt or kickoff all the way to the end zone, igniting US Bank Stadium. Just imagine the roar from the crowd if that happens early. Of course, missing key defensive players like Andrew Van Ginkel raises eyebrows. But here's the question. Doesn't the weight of the jersey and the pressure of a packed stadium compensate for those absences? Vikings fans know the primetime atmosphere well and how it turns every snap into a psychological battle. And if ESPN already stamped Atlanta's fate, maybe they forgot that unanimous predictions rarely survive the chaos of the NFL. Because what happens when an upset threatens, but the purple wall answers back? The next update will blow your mind. The energy in Minneapolis was already sky high, but the last-minute confirmation spiced things up even more. Drake London is cleared to play. The Falcons' top wideout suffered a shoulder injury in the opener against the Buccaneers, raised concerns during the week but returned to practice on Friday and was removed from the final injury report. For Michael Penix Jr., that means his top safety valve will be on the field, and for Brian Flores' defense, the challenge just got tougher. London is no ordinary target. Before getting hurt last week, he racked up 8 catches and looked like the security blanket of that offense. His return allows Penix to spread the ball more effectively, opens up lanes for Bijan Robinson to run, and frees Kyle Pitts to work the middle. In practice, he's the missing piece Atlanta needed to believe they could steal a win in Minnesota. And let's be real, under primetime lights, with the whole country watching, no player misses the chance to shine. The big question is how the Vikings secondary will react. Against the Bears, we saw troubling lapses in coverage, especially under pressure. Flores surely prepared adjustments, but fans know stopping London is more than limiting receptions. It's dismantling the balance of the entire offense. If he builds confidence early, Penix could grow into the game and turn every throw into a real threat. But here's the possible game changer: the US Bank Stadium atmosphere. It's no exaggeration to say that playing there in primetime is a nightmare for rookie quarterbacks. The deafening noise, the relentless crowd pressure, defenders blitzing unpredictably, it all adds up. Penix showed composure against Tampa Bay, but doing the same in Minneapolis is a whole different beast. On the flip side, with London back, Minnesota will need to stay sharp from the first snap. Any slip could become an explosive touchdown, and the ghost of big plays still haunts this defense. It's a chess match. On one side, the return of a critical weapon for Atlanta. On the other, the chance for the Vikings to prove they've learned from recent mistakes. And while fans are already nervous about London's return, what's on the horizon for the following week could change everything in a way no one expected. While all eyes are locked on Atlanta, behind the scenes in Minnesota, the staff is already working with a shocking possibility, facing the Cincinnati Bengals without Joe Burrow in Week 3. During the game against the Jaguars, the star quarterback hurt his left foot, limped off, and couldn't return. The sight was jarring because Burrow is the heartbeat of that offense, and any injury changes the entire AFC outlook, and of course directly impacts what the Vikings can plan for. Jake Browning stepped in, and here's the irony. A name with a brief stint in Minnesota could end up facing the team as Cincinnati's starter. He showed some accuracy on short passes, but his limited arm strength and lack of mobility are glaring. Against a Brian Flores defense that thrives on blitzes and loves suffocating young quarterbacks, this could be a feast. Imagine Danielle Hunter and company hunting down someone without Burrow's poise or escapability. Fans are already picturing it. And there's more. The recent memory of how this defense contained Caleb Williams in the opener builds confidence. Browning is no Burrow, and the gap is massive. It's like going from a maestro who can flip a game on a dime to a backup who might manage but won't inspire fear. For a team battling in a crowded NFC North, every break matters. But the story gets juicier. Even before thinking about Cincinnati, J.J. McCarthy has already been shutting down critics inside ESPN. Michael Wilbon, a proud Bears fan and respected voice, said before the Chicago matchup that McCarthy would look like a rookie and get crushed by the Bears' defense. Instead, McCarthy orchestrated a comeback win, stayed cool after a pick six, and made line adjustments like a vet. The result, Wilbon ate his words live on air, praising the kid's poise and admitting he was dead wrong. That shifts national perception. What was once seen as a risky gamble now looks like an epic storyline. If Burrow really sits, McCarthy will have the perfect stage to prove the future is already here in Minnesota. The question is fortune finally smiling on the Vikings? And while debates over Burrow and McCarthy light up sports shows, the team itself dropped an announcement before the next game that will give fans chills. If the comeback win over the Bears had already lit a fire in fans' hearts, the announcements the Minnesota Vikings made before facing the Falcons took expectations to another level. Picture this. In a primetime showdown inside a packed U.S. Bank Stadium, the team takes the field in its classic uniforms, the ones that carry decades of history and give older fans goosebumps at first sight. It wasn't just nostalgia. Social media erupted with comments begging to make them the permanent look, praising how the design balances tradition and modern flair perfectly. And it didn't stop there. To make the spectacle even grander, the Vikings confirmed that the 934th Airlift Wing, known as the Flying Vikings, will perform a C-130 Hercules flyover during the national anthem ceremony. Anyone who's seen one knows it's unforgettable. The roar of the engines blending with the crowd's roar, creating an almost cinematic moment. What could have been just another regular season game is now an event, a celebration of Viking identity on and off the field. But of course, at the end of the day, it all comes down to the matchup. On one side, J.J. McCarthy, fresh off his first career win. On the other, Michael Penix Jr., coming in under pressure after a string of heartbreaking losses. The clash between the two quarterbacks is more than symbolic. It's two stories being written, and only one gets stronger. NFL insiders aren't shy about their picks. Many project a Vikings win, noting that while Penix has talent, Flores' defense is tailor-made to disrupt him. Seth Walder even predicted that explosive rookie Miles Price could return a punt or kickoff for a touchdown, something that would send the Minneapolis crowd into absolute frenzy. The weight of the occasion is clear. Iconic uniforms, a dramatic flyover, and a stadium pulsing in unison. It feels less like Week 2 and more like a chapter of something bigger. The question remains, will McCarthy's spark and the fans' roar turn the night into another unforgettable triumph? And if all of this already sounds electric, here comes the next twist. This is the kind of update that blindsides fans and stirs deep memories. Kirk Cousins might be on the move again, and maybe to a rival who knows the Vikings all too well. After leaving Minnesota for a massive $180 million deal with the Atlanta Falcons, Cousins had an up-and-down year, finishing 7-7 as a starter. He even returned to U.S. Bank Stadium last season, throwing for more than 340 yards but getting picked off twice in a painful loss to his former team. Now, with Michael Penix Jr. firmly the present and future in Atlanta, Cousins is more of an expensive luxury at 37 years old. Minnesota even considered bringing him back as McCarthy's backup, but the financial burden and the risk of creating locker room tension if McCarthy stumbled weighed too heavy. Instead, the team turned to Carson Wentz. But things could change fast, and suddenly the San Francisco 49ers are in the picture. With Brock Purdy sidelined up to 5 weeks and George Kittle already on IR, the Niners are battling the injury bug again. Mac Jones, widely seen as a first-round bust, will get his shot against the Saints, but if he flops, Kyle Shanahan may push for an aggressive move. That's where Cousins' name resurfaces. The speculation centers on a trade involving pass rusher Bryce Huff and conditional draft picks, with Atlanta eating part of the salary to seal the deal. The biggest obstacle? Cousins' no-trade clause. But analysts say San Francisco might be one of the few teams he'd waive it for. The chance to start right away, chase the playoffs, and reunite with Shanahan could be too tempting. For the Vikings, the thought is intriguing. A former quarterback possibly lining up against them in the postseason, wearing red and gold, carrying inside knowledge of Minneapolis. Fate playing a trick? For many fans, just the thought is enough to fuel debates deep into January. And as Cousins' shadow looms over the NFC, Vikings fans are left to wonder, could this be the setup for an epic reunion in the biggest game of the year? Minnesota Vikings fans are living days of pure intensity. On one hand, ESPN fueling confidence by predicting a win over the Falcons. On the other, Drake London's return adding drama to the secondary. Meanwhile, Burrow's potential absence opens the door to dream big in Week 3, and McCarthy keeps winning over even his harshest critics. To top it off, classic uniforms and roaring fans turn the next game into a spectacle, while trade rumors around Cousins revive memories and spark talks of epic reunions. But none of this makes sense without the fans' energy. Now is the time to support, question, and debate, because this journey is far from over. Which update hit you the hardest, and what other moves does this team still need to make? Drop a comment, share this video, and hit that subscribe button for all the latest Vikings updates. Stay tuned. SKOL Vikings, let's go!